Let's flip over as quickly as we can now to this deregistration of political parties,
Yes.
which INEC has done. We've
Yes.
got parties who are crying wolf, and they say there is some here and
Yes.
not none. That
Yes.
how come INEC goes ahead deregistering some political parties
You
while
see,
the rest have not also won any elections
The
so far?
Nigerians have a way of crying wolf, and I'm surprised that people who call themselves politicians are not well versed with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They keep quoting the same section that's got to do with fundamental rights. That is chapter 4, section 40 of our Constitution, freedom of gathering, freedom of association. But they will never quote the because when you quote the Constitution and you do not quote it to the end, they said yes, you have a freedom to associate. Those associations even have the right to call themselves political parties, you understand, for the purpose of canvassing votes for election. And then, but these parties, their freedom of association is subjected to provisions, certain provisions that are empowered with INEC. You go and check this in the Constitution. That is, it is, you know, that where your freedom of association stops is where INEC comes in to register you as a political party for the purpose of running for election, canvassing for votes. If you are not so registered, so be it.
Okay. Be that
Now,
as it may.
let me quickly quote another section. There are two serious sections.
The Electoral Act of the same
not-
constitution.
Yes, that's on the same Constitution.
All right.
There's chapter 6 of the Constitution, so section 221 up to 229, that says everything about how political parties must operate under guidance of INEC. And let me quickly say, I personally believe that they are in this book you have 65, I think 63 registered political parties. Yes, 63. By the time you remove 28, you have 35. But I still think INEC has not done a thorough job. If you have a constitution that says that every political party must reflect federal character in its executive committee and all of the other federal organs in such that 2/3 of the states in Nigeria must be represented.
But you see, there are those who wonder all this while. I mean, these political parties have been in existence.
Yes.
Why now? Why is it that it's now that INEC is jumping in?
Let me quickly come in here. INEC is not jumping in. When you say jumping in, vetting of political parties is a continuous process. You understand? These people come in, some of them have their mandate from God to become president of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Some of them, they are founders of parties because they believe that they can use these parties to collect subventions from government. Some of them even, they form this party based on rumor. You know, they hear this rumor that government is going to give $1 billion per party, and then they quickly gather their friends and relatives together and form political parties. Then you also have another category of people who want to be relevant till they die. And so they keep hanging on to these parties. But what I'm saying in fact is that, look, supremacy of the Constitution. If the Constitution says that, look, INEC is in charge, then what do you do? And I'm quoting the sections of the Constitution. And I've said go to chapter 6, sections 221 to 229. You will see everything about what INEC has got to do with political parties there.
How about ensuring federal character in those political parties?
That's what is there.
Are they doing enough about it, INEC?
That's what I'm saying, that INEC, as far as I'm concerned, they have not even done a thorough job. Because from what I see, in all of the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, at the end of the day, if a thorough exercise is done, you probably will not have more than 10 political parties. I'm serious. Because most of these parties are operating from pseudo addresses all over Nigeria. Many of them will probably have offices in 2 or 3 states, their hometown, and then one round shaku place in Abuja, and then in their friend's house in the east.
Okay, we have some of them who, yes, admitted and also quoting the Electoral Act 20 as amended, Section 7 sub 2, which part of the reason why INEC can deregister political parties.
Yeah.
The second part was 7.2 for failure to win a seat
Exactly.
in the National or State Assembly election.
Exactly.
But some of these parties, the CNPP in Enugu branch, they recently just came up with a publication saying, well, INEC is being partial or biased because they say of those parties that remain, they say those parties that remain, that they've got some of them have not won any seat and they still remain there.
Some of the 35
that are left.
You have just mentioned part of the electoral law, isn't it? The electoral law in itself is it emanates from the Constitution of the Federal Republic. So what I'm saying in effect is that first you must consider the provisions of this constitution, and then you now go into the electoral law. And then, for goodness sake, I said this is democracy. No matter how nascent or how young you think our democracy is, there are steps that need to, the steps are there. When you are not happy with what you think, INEC is one of the few institutions of democracy that is succeeding, honestly, and I think we must give them all the support. We must give Jega all the support. He has been able, apart from the general election, he has been able to conduct two substantially free and fair elections. The one in Edo State and the one in Ondo State. So the fact of the matter is that where you are confused about provisions of the constitution, what does the law say? The judiciary is there. That is why gone are the days when Nigerians respond to issues spontaneously by burning houses and burning human beings. We are beginning to go to court. If you are not happy, go to court. And I strongly hope that some of these things we are saying is not sub judice, because some of them are in court already.
NCP is the one that is in court, and the court says the other parties cannot benefit.
If they say that they want, look, what are they talking about? Because I've listened to so many of these people on the TV. They are bamboozling our people. Some of them say freedom of association without telling Nigerians that freedom of association is provisional to registration by INEC. Check section. You can check it out if you have the constitution with you.
All right. Well,
now, what I'm saying in effect is this: if you think you have been cheated on any ground, if you think, for instance, if you have won a seat somewhere in a local government and you think you should not be deregistered, but if there are other conditions you have not fulfilled, like this two-third majority, because two-third of your people must come from two-third of the states in Nigeria, two-third of your executive or any organ that you have at the federal level. If you don't qualify for that and you say you have won a seat, a councillor somewhere in which state, only God knows. At the end of the day, that is what I'm saying, that if from what I've gone through the electoral law, I've gone through the constitution, and what I'm telling you in effect that if INEC does a thorough job, Nigeria will scream. They will scream. Look, they have only removed 28 parties, and somebody is saying that it is a ploy by PDP to ensure that there is no credible opposition. It is laughable coming from a minister of God. And what I'm trying to say in effect is that if they do a thorough job, honestly, from the provisions of the constitution, from the provisions of the electoral law, you probably end up having,
since
now,
let me quickly,
they've gone to court, let's leave it at that. But let me quickly say this. Why we are having, one of the big problems we are having in Nigeria is because, winner takes all. We need mega parties. For winner takes all, this presidential system of government that we are running, it is expensive, and it's a winner takes all thing that needs to be reviewed.